Chemical warfare during World War I. World War I was the first large war of the 20th century, mainly due to the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. After the Industrial Revolution, weaponry became advanced and it was more lethal than ever. New machine guns tore through troops at a rapid rate. Both sides began to dig trenches to protect themselves, which ultimately caused a stalemate to occur. Neither side was making any advancements after months of battles. Both the Central Powers and Allied sides were looking for a way to make some sort of advancement, and this led to the initiation of chemical warfare. Germans were the first to use chemical warfare on a large scale during World War I. Their first successful attack was with using chlorine gas at the Battle of Prague. Chemical warfare involves the use of man-made or natural poisonous substances to disable or kill an enemy. World War I was the first major large-scale use of poisonous chemicals used to defeat an enemy. The most popular gas used during World War I was the inhumane mustard gas. Overall, these poisons were responsible for about 100,000 deaths and 1.2 million injuries during World War I alone. Chemical warfare involves the use of natural or man-made poisonous substances to disable or kill an enemy. The effects of the chemicals might last only a short period of time, but the effects might result in permanent damage or death. Most of the gases used during World War I would cause severe burning of the skin, eyes, and respiratory tract. The chemicals had the ability to inflict mass casualties to an enemy. Overall, chemical weapons proved to be ineffective in the advancements of either sides because they were both able to develop protective gear such as the gas mask. No country showed any real long-term gain from using chemical weapons. It is most commonly believed that the German forces initiated the use of chemical weapons. Germans fired more than 150 tons of lethal chlorine gas against the French at the Battle of Prague in Belgium. However, the French were technically the first to deploy chemical weapons, but Germans were the first to seriously study chemical weapons and use them on a large scale. Germans introduced chlorine gas on April 22, 1915, at the start of the Second Battle of Prague. Germany's first successful gas attack was due to Fritz Haber, the inventor of chlorine gas. Fritz was a Jewish chemist in Germany and was determined to show his devotion and loyalty to Germany by creating this lethal gas to be used in World War I. Fritz's gas was responsible for the deaths of thousands of soldiers during World War I alone. Fritz's invention inspired many other chemical weapons to be created during this time period. The French were actually the first to utilize chemical weapons in conflict when they attempted to use tear gas against the German army in August of 1914. Chlorine gas was first used on a large scale by the German forces at Prague in April of 1915, and had a larger impact and casualty toll. The infamous mustard gas was created and used in 1917. In 1915, enemies started to develop protection against the gas attacks, causing them to be practically worthless and rather a nuisance to the soldiers. World War I started in July of 1914. In August, the first chemical weapons were created by the French and Germans. The first uses were tear gas and grenades from the French. Battles from 1914 to 1918 were all fought with chemical weapons that were constantly being improved, as were the defense measures against them. Some of the battles that heavily used poison gases included the capture of Neuve Chapel, the Battle of Bolimov, the Battle of Newport, the Battle of Prague, and the Battle of Loos. Chemical warfare was widespread at many battles on the Western Front due to its conducive climate. Chemical weapons resulted in an estimated 1.2 million casualties, including 100,000 deaths. Germany temporarily became more powerful in the war as they created more potent and deadly gases. Germany became even more hated by their enemies, especially the United States. The use of chemical weapons by the Germans was actually one of the pushing factors for the United States to join the war. Propaganda was widespread by the Allied side to convey Germany as a vicious, evil monster to the United States to push them to join the war. It was important for them to get the United States to join because they were a great world power and would ultimately change the tide of the war. The experience of large-scale chemical warfare led to the 1925 Geneva Protocol, which forbids the use of chemical and bacteriological agents in war. Despite this agreement, many countries continued to develop chemical weapons. Countries began to stockpile these chemical agents during the years between World War I and World War II. Today, chemical weapons are thought as unconventional and unethical in warfare. Overall, chemical warfare during World War I had a large impact on the war and caused many rules to be created for warfare in the future.